First Contact and Deception. Admiral Zara Voss stood on the bridge of the TES Horizon, Earth's first interstellar vessel, as it approached the edge of the Sol system. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. First contact with an alien civilization. Signal detected, Admiral. Lieutenant Chen announced, his voice tight with tension. It's massive. Whatever's out there, it's bigger than anything we've ever encountered. Zara nodded, her steel-gray eyes fixed on the view screen. Broadcast our first contact protocol. Let's hope they're friendly. As the message was transmitted, a shimmering distortion appeared in space before them. It coalesced into a sleek, silver vessel that dwarfed the horizon. Its hull was adorned with strange, pulsing symbols that seemed to shift and change as Zara watched. We're being hailed, Chen reported. On screen, Zara ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that was both alien and eerily familiar. It had a humanoid shape, but its skin was a pale lavender, and its eyes were large, multifaceted orbs that reflected the starlight. Greetings, humans of Earth, the alien spoke, its voice a melodious trill. I am Ambassador Exile of the Galactic Confederation. We welcome you to the greater cosmic community. Zara felt a surge of hope. A confederation implied cooperation, not conquest. Ambassador Exile, I am Admiral Zara Voss of Earth. We are honored to make your acquaintance and look forward to peaceful exchange between our peoples. Exile's faceplates shifted in what Zara hoped was a smile. Indeed, Admiral. We have much to share with your species. The Confederation has been observing Earth for some time, waiting for you to achieve interstellar travel. Now that you have, we invite you to join us. Over the next few hours, Exile explained the structure of the Galactic Confederation, a collective of advanced species working together for mutual benefit. They offered Earth membership, along with access to incredible technologies and the promise of protection from hostile forces in the galaxy. As Zara listened, a part of her marveled at their luck. Humanity's first encounter with alien life, and they were being offered the keys to the cosmos. It seemed too good to be true. Because it was. Thousands of light years away, in a chamber bathed in crimson light, Emperor Vecron of the Drachnid Empire watched the exchange with cold amusement. His scaled hand caressed the neural interface that allowed him to project the illusory image of Ambassador Exile to the humans. Your Majesty, General Kraz, Vecron's most trusted advisor, hissed, is this deception necessary? We could crush these primitives with ease. Vecron's lips curled into a predatory smile. Patience, Kraz. The humans possess something far more valuable than their pitiful technology or resources. What could these vermin possibly offer us? Kraz scoffed. Potential, Vecron replied. Their adaptability, their drive to innovate. It's unlike anything we've seen. Imagine harnessing that potential for the Empire. We'll guide their development, shape their technology, and when the time is right, we'll have an army of brilliant minds at our disposal. Kraz's eyes widened with understanding. A Trojan horse. Precisely. Vecron nodded. We'll give them carefully curated advancements, always a step behind our own capabilities. They'll think they're growing stronger, but they'll be dancing to our tune. Back on the horizon, Zara was concluding her conversation with the false Ambassador Exile. As the transmission ended, she turned to her crew, her face beaming with excitement. This is it, people. The dawn of a new era for humanity. We're about to take our place among the stars. The crew cheered, caught up in the moment of triumph. But Lieutenant Chen remained quiet, a nagging doubt gnawing at the back of his mind. It all seemed too convenient, too perfect. As the Horizon prepared to escort the Confederation vessel back to Earth, Chen approached Zara. Admiral, may I speak freely? Zara nodded, noting the concern in his eyes. Something doesn't feel right about this, Chen said in a low voice. The Confederation, their technology, their offer. It's everything we've ever dreamed of. But what if it's too good to be true? Zara considered his words carefully. She'd had similar thoughts but had pushed them aside in the face of such an incredible opportunity. "What are you suggesting, Lieutenant?" "I'm not sure," Chen admitted. "But I think we need to be cautious. Maybe set up some safeguards. Do more research before we fully commit to this alliance." Zara placed a hand on Chen's shoulder. "Your concerns are noted, Lieutenant. And you're right. We can't afford to be naive. When we return to Earth, I'll recommend a measured approach to the UN Security Council. We'll verify everything the Confederation tells us." What neither Zara nor Chen realized was that their conversation was being monitored. Emperor Vecrun listened with growing interest. "It seems not all humans are so easily fooled," he mused. "This could complicate matters." General Kraz tensed. "Shall we eliminate them?" Vecrun shook his head. "No. Their caution could work to our advantage. Let them investigate. We'll provide just enough truth to satisfy their doubts, mixed with carefully crafted lies. Their own thoroughness will convince them of our sincerity." As the Horizon began its journey back to Earth, carrying news that would change human history forever, the seeds of a grand deception were already taking root. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, unaware that their first step into the galactic community was also the first step into an intricate web of lies and manipulation. The Terran Gambit had begun. The Covered Alliance. 6 months after first contact, Earth was abuzz with excitement. The arrival of the Galactic Confederation had ushered in an era of unprecedented technological advancement and cultural exchange. Cities gleamed with new energy-efficient buildings, hospitals boasted miraculous cures, and the first human colonies on Mars were already under construction. But beneath the surface of this utopian veneer, a shadow network was forming. In a nondescript office building in Geneva, Admiral Zara Voss sat across from Dr. Ilara Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist. Between them on the desk lay a holographic projection of what appeared to be alien DNA. "You're certain about this?" Zara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ilara nodded, her dark eyes intense. "The genetic markers don't lie, Admiral. The Confederation representatives aren't a single species. They're a collection of genetically modified beings, all stemming from the same base genome." Zara leaned back, processing the information. It confirmed the nagging doubts she'd harbored since first contact. They're hiding something. But what? And why go to such lengths? A soft knock interrupted their conversation. Lieutenant Chen entered, looking haggard but determined. "Admiral, Dr. Patel, you need to see this." He placed a data chip on the desk, and a new hologram sprang to life. A star map of nearby systems, several pulsed with an ominous red glow. "These are systems the Confederation claimed were uninhabited," Chen explained. "But our deep space probes detected signs of recent devastation. Planetary bombardment, artificial debris fields consistent with destroyed fleets." Zara's blood ran cold. "They're not a confederation. They're an empire. An empire that's been systematically wiping out potential rivals," Ilara added, her voice grim. The weight of the revelation settled over the room. Humanity hadn't been welcomed into a utopian alliance. They'd been ensnared by a predator. "We need to act," Zara said, standing abruptly. "But we can't let them know we're onto them." "Not yet." Chen nodded in agreement. "I've been cultivating a network of like-minded individuals, scientists, military personnel, even some politicians who share our suspicions. We're calling ourselves the Terran Resistance." "Good work, Lieutenant," Zara approved. "We'll need every ally we can get. Dr. Patel, how quickly can we analyze and reverse engineer the technology they've given us?" Ilara's eyes gleamed with determination. "Give me a team of our best minds and unrestricted access to resources. We'll peel back every layer of their tech. Find the hidden backdoors, the kill switches." "You'll have it," Zara promised. "I'll pull strings, redirect funds. We'll operate under the guise of integration projects to avoid suspicion." As the trio plotted Earth's covert resistance, light years away, Emperor Vecrun received a disturbing report. Anomalies, Your Majesty, General Kraz reported, his scales bristling with agitation. The humans are probing systems we've cleansed, and our spies report increased activity in their research facilities. Vecron's eyes narrowed. It seems we've underestimated their curiosity. No matter. Accelerate the timeline. Begin Phase 2 of the integration. Back on Earth, the Terran resistance worked tirelessly. In hidden labs and secure bunkers, they dissected alien technology, searching for weaknesses and opportunities. Ilara made a breakthrough in understanding the quantum entanglement drives that powered Confederation ships. Chen established a clandestine communication network using repurposed alien tech, allowing the resistance to coordinate globally without detection. But it was Zora who stumbled upon the most crucial discovery. Hidden deep in the databanks of a gifted Confederation computer was a fragmented star chart, one that didn't match any known sector of space. It's like looking at a negative, Zora mused, studying the chart with Chen and Ilara. These empty regions, I think they're actually populated systems. The Confederation, or whatever they really are, they're hiding entire civilizations from us. Potential allies, Chen said, hope kindling in his eyes. Ilara leaned in, her mind racing. If we could reach out to them, form a real confederation, we might stand a chance, Zora finished. But we need a way to contact them without alerting our benefactors. Their planning was interrupted by an urgent alert. The Confederation had announced a new initiative. They were offering to upgrade Earth's defensive systems with their advanced shield technology. A trap, Chen said immediately. Once those shields are in place, they could turn them against us, lock down the entire planet. Zara's jaw clenched. We can't refuse without raising suspicion. We need to find a way to accept their gift, while secretly maintaining control. As the resistance grappled with this new challenge, Emperor Vecron watched the humans with growing fascination. Their attempts at secrecy were admirable, if ultimately futile against the Empire's vast intelligence network. They scramble so desperately, Vecron mused to General Kraz, like insects trying to avoid the descending boot. Kraz shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps we should crush them now, Your Majesty. Their defiance, however futile, could inspire others. Vecron waved a dismissive hand. Let them play their games. Their struggle will make the final subjugation all the sweeter, and who knows, they may yet surprise us with some innovation we can use. As Earth prepared to receive its new defensive systems, the Terran resistance raced against time. They had to find a way to subvert the alien technology, establish contact with potential allies, and prepare humanity for the truth, all while maintaining a facade of grateful cooperation. The covert war for Earth's future had begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Humanity's survival would depend on the ingenuity, courage, and unity of a handful of individuals willing to risk everything to expose the truth and forge a path to true freedom among the stars. Technological leap. The installation of the Confederation's shield generators around Earth proceeded with great fanfare. To the public, it was a momentous occasion, proof of humanity's ascending status in the galactic community. To the Terran resistance, it was a ticking time bomb. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Ilara Patel stood before a holographic representation of the SHIELD network. Her team of engineers and physicists worked feverishly around her, their faces etched with determination and exhaustion. "We're running out of time," Ilara muttered, her eyes scanning lines of alien code. "Once these shields are fully operational, we'll be at their mercy." A hand touched her shoulder. It was Admiral Zara Voss, her presence a pillar of strength in these trying times. "We'll find a way, Ilara. We have to." As if on cue, an excited shout came from across the room. "Dr. Patel, Admiral, I think we've cracked it." They rushed over to where a young physicist, Dr. Amit Sharma, was practically bouncing with excitement. On his screen was a dizzying array of equations and simulations. "It's brilliant, really," Amit explained, his words tumbling out in a rush. The Confederation's quantum shields operate on a principle of phase-shifted reality. They don't just block incoming attacks, they shunt them into a parallel dimensional space. Zara's brow furrowed. And how does this help us? Ilara's eyes widened as she grasped the implication. Because if we can control that shift, we can do more than just defend. We could potentially transport matter, or information, across vast distances instantly. Exactly. Amit beamed. With some modifications, we could turn their defense system into the galaxy's biggest quantum communicator and transportation network. The implications were staggering. Not only could they maintain control of Earth's defenses, but they might also have found a way to reach out to those hidden civilizations and potentially evacuate Earth if the worst should happen. Zara's comm unit chirped, interrupting the moment of triumph. It was Lieutenant Chen, his voice tight with urgency. Admiral, we've got a problem. The Confederation is pushing up the timeline for the shield activation. They're citing increased solar flare activity as the reason. They suspect something, Zara said grimly. How long do we have? 48 hours, maybe less. Ilara and Amit exchanged worried glances. That's not enough time to implement the modifications across the entire network, Ilara said. Zara's mind raced. Then we focus on a single node. Can you do that? Amit nodded hesitantly. Yes, but it would be incredibly risky if the Confederation detects the anomaly. It's a risk we have to take, Zara decided. Ilara, you and Amit get to work on the modifications. I'll coordinate with Chen to create a diversion when the time comes. As the Resistance scrambled to enact their daring plan, Emperor Vecran observed Earth from his flagship, cloaked in orbit around Mars. The view screen showed the shimmering network of shield generators slowly coming online around the blue planet. Soon, Vecran purred, his scaled fingers drumming against the arm of his throne. Soon, the humans will be safely contained, ready for the next phase of their integration. General Kraz approached, bowing low. Your Majesty, our operatives report increased activity among certain human factions. They seem to be gathering resources and personnel at key shield generator sites. Vecran's eyes narrowed. Curious. Perhaps they're not as docile as they appear. No matter. Once the shields are active, their pitiful attempts at resistance will be futile. Little did Vecran know that at that very moment, in a nondescript shield generator station in the Gobi Desert, Ilara and Amit were working furiously to implement their modifications. Sweat beaded on their brows as they raced against time, splicing alien technology with human ingenuity. There, Amit exclaimed, stepping back from the console. It's done. When this node activates, it should create a quantum tunnel large enough to transmit a focused data burst. Ilara nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. I'm programming the burst now. A warning about the Confederation's true nature, our coordinates, and a plea for help. Let's hope someone friendly is listening. Outside the station, Lieutenant Chen and a team of resistance fighters disguised as maintenance crew stood guard. Hurry, Chen urged through the comm. Confederation observers are getting suspicious. We can't hold them off much longer. In orbit, alarms blared on Vecran's flagship. Your Majesty, Kraz shouted. We're detecting an energy spike in the shield network. One of the nodes is drawing far more power than the others. Vecran leaped to his feet, rage contorting his features. Impossible. Shut it down. Shut down the entire network. But it was too late. As the shield network hummed to life around Earth, a single node in the Gobi Desert flared with blinding intensity. For a fraction of a second, a pulse of pure quantum information shot out, piercing the fabric of space-time itself. The pulse raced across the galaxy, slipping through the cracks of reality that the Confederation's own technology had created. It broadcast Earth's plea for help to 1,000 hidden worlds, a desperate cry in the cosmic dark. And somewhere, in the shadows between stars, someone heard. As alarms wailed and Confederation ships descended toward Earth, Zara, Ilara, and the rest of the Resistance braced themselves. They had taken an incredible risk, potentially exposing themselves to the very enemy they sought to defeat. But they had also achieved something remarkable, a technological leap that could change the course of the coming conflict. For the first time since this shadow war began, humanity had seized the initiative. Now, as the Confederation's true face was revealed, and the shield network closed around Earth like a fist, the Resistance could only hope that their gamble would pay off, that somewhere out there, allies were coming. The next phase of the Terran Gambit had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Empire strikes. The facade of benevolence fell away like a discarded mask. Within hours of the quantum pulse from the Gobi Desert, Confederation ships descended upon Earth's major cities, their sleek hulls now bristling with weaponry. The true face of the Drachnid Empire was revealed, and humanity reeled from the shock. Admiral Zara Voss stood in the United Nations emergency bunker, surrounded by holographic displays of the unfolding crisis. World leaders, their faces ashen with fear and anger, demanded answers. How could we have been so blind? The Chinese premier asked, his voice trembling. We weren't blind, Zara replied, her tone steel. We were deceived by an enemy with resources and technology far beyond our own. But we are not helpless. She nodded to Lieutenant Chen, who activated a secure channel. Dr. Ilara Patel's face appeared on the main screen, her lab a flurry of activity behind her. The modified shield network is holding, Ilara reported. The Drachnids can't simply shut it down as they planned. We've bought ourselves some time, but they're adapting quickly. The U.S. President leaned forward. What are our options, Admiral? Zara took a deep breath. We fight, not just for our survival, but for our freedom. The Resistance has been preparing for this moment. We have weapons, strategies, and most importantly, we have hope. As Zara outlined the Resistance's plans, Emperor Vecron raged aboard his flagship. The throne room echoed with the sound of shattering equipment as his tail lashed out in fury. How? He snarled at General Kraz. How did these primitives manage to subvert our technology? Kraz cowered, his scales pale with fear. We underestimated them, Your Majesty. Their adaptability, their ingenuity, it exceeds all our projections. Vecron's eyes narrowed to slits. No matter. They've merely delayed the inevitable. Commence orbital bombardment. Target their military installations, power grids, and communication hubs. Let's see how clever they are when their civilization lies in ashes. On Earth, the first strikes came without warning. Lances of searing energy pierced the modified shields, leaving swaths of destruction in their wake. But the damage was far less than the Drachnids had hoped. The Resistance's modifications didn't just allow for communication. They had vastly improved the shield's defensive capabilities. In hidden bunkers and secret labs across the globe, humanity's best and brightest worked tirelessly. They reverse-engineered captured Drachnid technology, devised new tactics, and coordinated a global resistance network. Dr. Amit Sharma, working with a team of physicists, made a breakthrough in understanding the Drachnid's energy weapons. It's not just raw power, he explained to Ilara over a secure link. Their weapons create micro-singularities, miniature black holes that tear apart matter at the subatomic level. Ilara's eyes widened. If we could replicate that, we'd have a weapon capable of penetrating their defenses, Amit finished. But we'd need an enormous power source. Something beyond anything we currently possess. As they spoke, Lieutenant Chen coordinated guerrilla strikes against Drachnid ground forces, human soldiers, armed with hastily adapted alien tech, engaged in brutal urban combat. Every city, every street became a battleground. In Washington, D.C., Chen led a daring raid on a Drachnid command post. As his team breached the alien defenses, they discovered something unexpected. A group of prisoners, clearly not human, held in stasis fields. Admiral, Chen reported, his voice tight with excitement. We found representatives of other species. I think I think these might be the leaders of some of those civilizations the Drachnids conquered. Zara's mind raced with the possibilities. Secure them, Lieutenant. They could be valuable allies and a potent propaganda tool against the Empire. But even as humanity fought back with increasing skill and determination, the Drachnids' superior numbers and technology began to tell. Major cities fell, their defenses overwhelmed by relentless orbital strikes and waves of ground troops. In orbit, Vecron watched the battle unfold with growing frustration. They should have broken by now, he growled. What gives these vermin such resolve? Kraz, having regained some of his composure, ventured a response. Perhaps it is because they fight for more than conquest, Your Majesty. They fight for survival, for freedom. Such motivation can be potent. Vecron's lip curled in disgust. Freedom. A quaint concept, useful only for manipulating the weak-minded. No, there must be something more. Some secret weapon or hidden ally we've overlooked. Little did Vecron know how right he was. For at that very moment, at the edge of the solar system, space-time itself began to warp and twist. On Earth, in the Resistance's primary command center, alarms blared. Ilara rushed to a console, her eyes wide with disbelief. Admiral, we're detecting massive quantum fluctuations near the orbit of Pluto. Something's coming through. Zara felt a surge of hope mixed with trepidation. The pulse. Someone received our message. As they watched, a rift in space tore open, and ships began to emerge. But these were unlike anything they'd ever seen. Vessels that seemed to be made of pure energy, shifting and pulsing with otherworldly power. A transmission crackled through the static, in a language that was somehow instantly understandable to all who heard it. People of Earth, we received your call. We are the Lumini, guardians of the free galaxies. The tyranny of the Drachnid Empire ends now. As the Lumini fleet engaged the Drachnid ships in orbit, the tide of battle began to turn. Energy weapons of unimaginable power lanced out, cutting through Drachnid defenses like paper. On his flagship, now rocked by explosions, Emperor Vecron stared at the scene before him in abject horror. Impossible, he whispered. The Lumini are a myth, a fairy tale told to frighten children. General Kraz, seeing the writing on the wall, edged toward an escape pod. Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider a tactical retreat. But Vecron was beyond reason. As his empire crumbled around him, as the combined forces of humanity and the Lumini pushed back his once invincible armada, the Emperor of the Drachnids could only watch in disbelief. The battle for Earth had entered its final decisive phase, and for the first time since the conflict began, victory seemed within humanity's grasp. Humanity's counterstrike. The arrival of the Lumini had shifted the balance of power, but the war was far from over. As battles raged in orbit and across Earth's surface, Admiral Zara Voss knew that humanity couldn't simply rely on their new allies. They needed to strike a decisive blow of their own. In a secure underground facility, Zara convened an emergency meeting with Earth's top military leaders and scientific minds. Dr. Ilara Patel and Dr. Amit Sharma stood before a holographic display of the solar system, their faces etched with equal parts exhaustion and determination. We've analyzed the Lumini technology, Ilara began. It's beyond anything we've ever seen, but there's an underlying principle we might be able to exploit. Amit nodded, taking over. The Lumini ships manipulate quantum fields to an extreme degree. We believe we can use our modified shield network to create a resonance effect, amplifying their power across the entire system. Zara leaned forward, her eyes sharp. And how does this help us defeat the Drachnids? By turning the entire solar system into one massive weapon, Ilara said, her voice quiet but intense. If we can synchronize the shield network with the Lumini fleet's energy output, we could create a quantum shockwave capable of disabling every piece of Drachnid technology in the system. The room erupted in a mix of excited murmurs and skeptical questions. Zara raised a hand for silence. What's the catch? Emit's expression grew grim. The energy requirements are extreme. We'd need to tap into the core of the sun itself, and there's a significant risk of destabilizing the entire solar system in the process. Silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. It was Lieutenant Chen who finally spoke up. So we're betting everything on one shot. If it works, we win. If it fails, we lose everything. Zara finished. She stood, her decision made. Begin preparations immediately. I'll coordinate with the Luminae. As Earth's forces rallied for this final, desperate gambit, Emperor Vecron grew increasingly unhinged. His flagship, battered but still operational, had retreated to the dark side of Mars. The Emperor paced the bridge, his once regal scales now dull and flaking with stress. Your Majesty, General Kraz ventured, perhaps it's time to consider negotiation. The humans have proven more resilient than. Vecron's tail lashed out, sending Kraz flying across the room. Negotiate. With insects? Never. We still have the planet killer. Prepare it for deployment. If we can't have Earth, no one will. Kraz's eyes widened in horror. But sire, the planet killer will destroy Mars as well. Will be. Silence. Vecron roared. I would rather die in fire than live in defeat. Now obey your Emperor. As the Drachnids prepared their doomsday weapon, the combined human and Lumini forces set their own plan in motion. Ilara and Emit worked feverishly to recalibrate the global shield network, while Zara coordinated with the Lumini fleet. The Lumini commander, a being of pure energy named Zix, communicated directly into Zora's mind. We understand the risks, Admiral Voss. Our people have faced the Drachnid tyranny for eons. We are prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice if necessary. Zara nodded, a lump in her throat. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. All units, prepare for Operation Sunforge. As the defenders of Earth made their final preparations, the Drachnid planet killer emerged from behind Mars, its massive form eclipsing the red planet. Cables of dark energy began to unspool from the weapon, reaching out towards Earth like the tentacles of some cosmic horror. Energy spike detected. Chen shouted from his station. The Drachnids are powering up some kind of super weapon. Zara's jaw clenched. We're out of time. Ilara, Emmet, you have to act now. In that moment, everything converged. The Drachnid planet killer fired, a beam of unimaginable destructive power lancing towards Earth. Simultaneously, the modified shield network pulsed with blinding intensity, linked to the Lumini fleet and drawing power directly from the sun. The two forces met in space, and for a heartbeat, the entire solar system seemed to hold its breath. Then, reality itself seemed to buckle. A shockwave of quantum energy exploded outward from Earth, rippling through space in concentric rings of pure power. Every piece of Drachnid technology, from their mighty warships to the planet killer itself, went dark. On the bridge of his flagship, Emperor Vecron watched in disbelief as his empire literally crumbled around him. No, he whispered, this isn't possible. We are supreme. We err. His words were cut off as the Lumini fleet, unaffected by the quantum pulse, opened fire. The Drachnid flagship disintegrated in a blaze of light, taking with it the last vestiges of the once mighty empire. As the light faded and the dust settled, an eerie quiet fell over the solar system, on Earth, in orbit, and across. The colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, humans held their breath, scarcely daring to believe. In the Resistance Command Center, Zara, Ilara, Amit, and Chen stared at their monitors in shock. Slowly, a cheer began to build, starting as a whisper and growing to a deafening roar. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had survived and triumphed. In the days that followed, the full scale of their victory became clear. The Drachnid Empire, without its technology, collapsed across the galaxy. Thousands of enslaved worlds found themselves suddenly free. The Lumini, true to their word, offered guidance and protection to these fledgling civilizations. As for Earth, it had earned its place among the stars. The Terran Gambit, the desperate ploy of a species on the brink of annihilation, had reshaped the galaxy. Humanity's ingenuity, courage, and unwavering spirit had not only saved their world, but had struck a blow for freedom that would echo across the cosmos for generations to come. Zara stood on the observation deck of the first true Terran starship, watching as it prepared to embark on a mission of peaceful exploration. Beside her, Ilara, Amit, and Chen, no longer military officers, but ambassadors of a new age. "So," Chen said, a hint of his old wry humor returning, "what's next?" Zara smiled, her eyes fixed on the stars that now promised not threat, but endless possibility. "We explore, we learn, we grow, and we make damn sure that nothing like the Drachnid Empire ever threatens the freedom of sentient beings again." As the ship's engines hummed to life, propelling them towards the unknown, Zara felt a profound sense of hope. The Terran Gambit was over, but humanity's great adventure among the stars was just beginning.